Hey guys, Connor with Grey Ops here, sitting down with the Tacamo evaluation kit. This is the M5K kit, and I don't think there are any user end videos out on YouTube thus far, so that'll make this be the first Tacamo end user video up on YouTube. What I'll be doing today is I'll be taking the guts from about 1.5 A5s and slapping them into the Tacamo conversion kit. What I have here on the table is an A5. It's down here, the two shells. The Tacamo conversion kit, a whole shitload of accessories, a flatline barrel, we'll see if that works out, a RAP4 big shot barrel, and I got my lubes ready, so I got a gold cup for all the light stuff, and Tech T gun salve for all the heavy stuff. Yeah, and then I'll do a size comparison with some other markers. I'll just show you guys what I think of the kit so far, its weaknesses, its strengths, what's compatible, what isn't, and yeah, hope you enjoy. Alright, so let's assemble a complete M5K kit. I haven't done this as of yet, so bear with me if I'm fumbling a little bit. There'll probably be a few time lapses where I'm just throwing together some nuts and bolts and just putting in push pins. But let's start with the very basics. So what I've done is I've taken apart my A5 completely. All the guts are gone. I have everything I need here on the table. So that's bolt, power tube, springs, trigger, barrel adapter, everything. And I've already pre-lubed the Tacamo M5K kit halves. So, just use a light lubricant where you can. It's an A5. It's kind of hard to fuck up putting lubricant, too many places. If anything, you'll probably under-lubricate with the tip min. Let's start off with the barrel adapter. Slap that in up there. Next up, grab the bolt from an A5. Make sure it's nice and lubed up, slide around a lot. Power tube. Align it where the tombstone's going to be. Bolt. Lube the O-ring on the bolt. Slip it on. Now, I know you're supposed to use the M5K kit's caulking rod, but I can't find that right now. But what I've found so far is that the standard A5 caulking rod will work just as fine. This is the the linkage rod. So throw that in there. There we go. Alright, next let's get the tombstone in. Slip the tombstone right in there, just to keep everything together. Let's put in the main spring with your little pin here at the back. Right at the back of the hammer. Then we'll just grab one of these end caps here. We'll use this one just because it has a sling adapter. We'll just put a little grease on that O-ring, looks pretty dry. And for the time being, while I explain everything else, I'm just going to use a couple push pins to just hold this in here temporarily. Give that a little go in. Alright, so this just gives you an idea that the M5K kit looks remarkably similar to the A5 kit once you get everything assembled. Here I have the M5K caulking rod. As you can see, I was a bit too rough with it and I already broke some of the plastic on it, so that's one thing that I might want to improve upon at RAP4, just making sure that this connection is a little bit sturdier. It's still functional with this part broken. It just means that this little part slides back and forth freely within the receiver. What you could do is you can take off this little, you probably can't see it because it's not focused well enough, but you can take off this little stopper here and you could slide this plastic part off and then you would just have this part and this part sliding around, but I don't really care. So you're going to want to align this on the holes of the receiver. Everything is pretty self-explanatory. You don't need a manual to set this thing up. If you've taken apart an A5 and put one back together without a manual, you definitely won't need a manual for the M5K kit. Alright, once we have that together, let's just get our other receiver half on. This is already pre-lubed. Make sure it's the right way around. You're just going to want to slip the caulking rod through that little hole. Blah, blah, blah. If you guys have put together an A5, this is going to be really boring for you. I apologize. Slip these guys in here. Alright, here's what I'm going to do a time lapse. I'm going to put together a bunch of the bolts and then we'll get back to each other, okay? Alright, I'm back, and what I've done is I've put in a whole bunch of the hex nut and bolt assembly together. What I've left out is the bolt that goes through here, and this little hole right here. We'll just cover those two steps right now. RAP4 supplies you with this little O-ringed metal dowel. That way you can. This is just to keep the tombstone in. You can't use a regular length A5 one because it'll interfere with the mag well. So what you do is you just pop that in there with your tombstone. You're good to go. It doesn't move around unless you push it out with an Allen key. Next up, I'm not going to cover. By the way, I'm not going to cover the Cyclone Fed M5K conversion kit in this video because, well, I just don't really want to. So the mag fed conversion kit comes with this little adapter. This is for the standard T68 or Milsig mags, not the new D mags. It's going to be a different adapter for those. As you'll notice, there's a little first strike shaped hole at the bottom of the receiver, but there is not a first strike shaped hole in this guy. You see the first strike shaped hole over here. This is where the Cyclone would normally go. You put a meat hook here, slap on the Cyclone, and then you'd be good to go for a Cyclone fed version. But for this guy, we're actually going to take a little cover. It's a little plastic cover that'll cover up the side, and it just snaps right on like that. Then next up, you're going to take the conversion, the magwell conversion thingy bobber, and slap it on there. Then you're going to take this little screw, put it right through here next to the tombstone. Alright, next up what you're going to do is you're going to take your ASA, screw it on. I'm not sure if this is the step you should do now, but we'll see, won't we? Let's attach the magwell. Just going to slip it on. Align those 4 holes on the receiver. Then you have some short little screws that you can put on. Alright, once we're done with that, we basically just have one more step and we'll have the entire marker set up, and that's just putting on the grip. So just as a sense of irony, I'm going to throw on a Milsig grip. It also just shows off the intercompatibility of these guys. And there you go. That's going to be an operational M5K kit. Cocks. There you go. You can see into the breech. Releases. And I'll check in a minute if it holds air. For now, you can see we'll attach a standard A5 threaded barrel. There's a RAP4 Big Shot Assault. That fits perfectly. T68 mag. We'll attach this guy, and you're good to go. Look at that. Alright, so in my excitement to get this thing finished, I forgot to mention 2 crucial things. First of all, you have 2 open holes on the side of your receiver where your banjo fittings normally go for your Cyclone or for your response trigger. What I've done is I've just taken a couple of solid screws that, this is a temporary solution, an inelegant one. Probably not the safest one. You should probably get some Teflon thread, Teflon tape, and just put that on the threading of these before you put them in. But yeah, just two standard screws that fit the bill. They just snuck onto the receiver, and they'll just plug up those little air holes. Second of all is I did not put a detent in the M5K. You still need detents, all right? And for those of you wondering, there you go. That's a flat line, A5 flat line, standard flat line. Fit on a Tacamo MK5 kit. So that gives you an idea of some of the possibilities of this kit. You could throw a box mag on there, flat line, and then an E-grip. Then you'd have a great scenario marker. One question a lot of people have been asking about the Tacamo M5K kit is, how big is it compared to, say, an A5? Well, as you can probably tell, the form factor is going to be fairly similar, so, so all the internals can fit. But let's take a look here. Let's grab a receiver. Here's the receiver for the A5, receiver for the M5K. So practically identical. If you don't own an A5, a lot of milsimmers are familiar with the T8. It's almost exactly the length of the T8, without the commutator, that is. So yeah, it's a small package overall. As far as general feedback goes for me so far in the video, I'm going to have a lot more posts on the blog. But what I found through the assembly is that, I don't know if it's just because of the sight that I have here myself, but I find that the standard A5 rear sight doesn't fit on very well. Once again, we had the issues with the little plastic piece in here snapping off and being able to move around. Now, everything seems fairly compatible. The tolerances seem great, surprisingly. Tippmann is starting to get slack on their tolerances themselves, but it appears that RAP4, the M5K kit is superb that way. So far it's accepted every A5 threaded barrel that we put in it. As you can see, it can accept the flatline barrel. I managed to put Picatinny mounted sights on top of it. I'll show you right now. Here's a just clamping Picatinny sight that doesn't fit on top of a lot of off-standard Picatinny rails. There's this guy, slips on. And actually manages to clamp down pretty well. I've tried other clamping sights on it. They seem to work fine. The Picatinny rails themselves are a little bit short. I seriously doubt they're mil-spec, but once again, they're going to fit most accessories you can put on them, so who really cares? What else do we have around here? Assembly is a no-brainer. If you know a Tippmann, you'll be able to put this together no problem at all.